brief description of his academic profile. And he has published over 1,200 peer-reviewed research papers, reviews and books chapters. He has edited and co-edited 140 books and is an inventor of 15 patents. Now, just look at the H index of Professor Thomas, that is 106, and has more than 54,000 citations. Professor Thomas has delivered over 350 plenary, inaugural, and invited lectures in national, international meetings over 30 countries. He holds visiting professorship in many foreign universities even now. Professor Thomas has supervised 115 PhD programs, and his students occupy leading positions in academia and industry in India and abroad. Again, hats off to you, sir, for that. Not all these make him great. He is also a compassionate human being, a genuine academician who is down to earth in his interaction with all who came across him. Recently, I was with him for a webinar on coastal life world in the Mahatma Gandhi University, when I found that in spite of his busy schedule, after inaugurating the session, the Vice Chancellor was found there as a participant, listening to some of the papers in social sciences. This is a very rare gesture from a Vice Chancellor. As a Vice Chancellor of Mahatma Gandhi University, Professor Thomas is an inspiration for teachers and students to emulate in the tradition set by the university's Vice Chancellor. Who else other than him talk on the subject higher education culture? I may rephrase it as higher academic culture. I invite Professor Thomas to deliver the first special erudite lecture on higher education culture organized by the IQAC and the History Department as part of the centenary celebrations of an institution that works on scientific values and humanistic ideals. Sir, now the new normal floor is open for you. Thank you very much.
Very good evening to all of you. Can you all hear me?
Yes, yes.
Very good evening to all of you. And many thanks to the principal of the college, Dr. David Matthew, respected manager, Reverend Father Thomas John, and my great friend, Dr. Sebastian Anuja, who introduced me in the beginning, and all the academics friends, students, ladies and gentlemen. I had been to UC College several times. This is one of the best colleges of Mahatma Gandhi University. I'm really proud as a Vice Chancellor. When I talk about UC College, I would say one of our best colleges under Mahatma Gandhi University. And when you land in your college campus, you feel academic vibrance, academic culture. So congratulations to the principal, congratulations to the manager and faculty members. And I'm glad that Dr. Sebastian, one of our youngest historians of Kerala, is very active, organizing a large number of symposia and meetings. And I know Sebastian for a long time. He's a brilliant academic. So extremely thankful to all of you for inviting me for this exciting webinar on higher academic culture. When you talk about academic culture, we all have to work together. The governments, the university, the management, the faculty members, students, the local population around the institutions, we all have to work together. Then only we can transform or we can build a great academic culture. I always like academic life. When I look back, immediately after my PhD from the Indian Institute of Technology back in '87, I got into company for some time. But I had a great passion for teaching and research. That's why I've chosen the field of academic life. I would say this is the most enjoyable life because I knew the industrial life, working with multinational companies. Academic life, academic job gives you a lot of freedom. I can work on any topic. Tomorrow, if I want to work on carbon nanotube, I can do that. Tomorrow, if I want to submit a proposal to a funding agency, I can do that. I can mold excellent students. I can attract brilliant faculty members to our campus. So academic life is extremely interesting. Unfortunately, if you look at the academic freedom, there's an index called, probably some of you know, that academic freedom index. The performance of India is not that good. Academic freedom index is given the base of 1, maximum is 1. And if you look at the academic freedom index of India, which is reported recently, there was a very nice article in Hindu, is 0.352. If you look at some of the European countries, the academic freedom index is very close to 0.91. Some countries have academic freedom index is 1. And Canada academic freedom index is quite high, 0.9, 0.8. The academic freedom index indicates the freedom of the scholars to express ideas without risk of official interference. And I hope that the coming years we'll be able to achieve great academic freedom. In my talk today, as I mentioned earlier, to build excellent academic culture, there is a great role of the teachers. So I will focus more on the role of teachers today. And at the end of my talk, I will briefly touch upon the role of students and management. When you look at academic culture or building up a culture, faculty members have a great role. If you have excellent faculties, brilliant faculties, I'm sure you can build up an excellent academic culture. There is no doubt in that. I remember many faculty members of Mahatma Gandhi University were recruited by Professor Anandamurthy. I joined in 1987. He recruited really excellent faculty members. That's the base of Mahatma Gandhi University. Probably you all know that within 37 years of history, Mahatma Gandhi University is number 30 in the country. And we are now international ranked. If you look at our Times ranking, 713 is a Times ranking. And my dream is to bring Mahatma Gandhi University within 500 globally and within 10 in the country. That is my great dream. Before me stepping down, I hope we will be able to do it. Coming to the role of teachers, teachers have a great role. We all know that the primary role of a teacher is to teach the students in an excellent way. Not only teaching, you have to evaluate the students. So teaching, learning, evaluation process. That's a very important duty of a teacher. The second component is research. You have to be an excellent researcher. And you also have to be supporter of, in many institutions, I would say consultancy. You also have to do consultancy work so that your expertise could be useful for the society at large. And the fourth important function of a good teacher is you have to disseminate the knowledge of society. You have to really work with society so that society can make a lot of improvements. Coming to teaching, I would say the teacher should inspire the students. The teacher should motivate the students. Teachers should really encourage the students. Teachers should really educate the students. That's very, very important. The teacher should be a resource person. Teacher has to read quite a lot. I would say every day the teacher has to make good amount of effort to make good lecture notes. Very, very important. Teacher has to act as a good mentor for the students. Teacher has to act as a good friend for the students. Teacher has to act as a good instructor for the students. Good supporter. The teacher has a multi-dimensional role in academic life. When you look at a syllabus, you see one of the important things for a program is you should have an excellent academic program. Suppose you are doing MA History, you should have an excellent academic program for this history program, whatever be the subject. I would say a completely outcome-based program should be set up in all cases. a completely outcome-based program should be set up. That is very, very important. You need to have an excellent outcome-based syllabus. Very, very important. And teachers have to be updated. They have to read well, they have to prepare well. And another important point is, now we are not able to meet the students face to face. Many teachers now take classes online. Some of the teachers, what do? They just transform simply from offline to online. The same lecture presentation, the offline mode to online mode, it will be a complete failure. I would say that if you are going for really online lecturing, you have to really make good digital content. You have to attract the students. A very nice study was conducted by one of my colleagues, and he found that many students are dissatisfied with the online teaching process. The survey conducted by my colleague indicated that around 70% of students are dissatisfied. They say the quality of teaching is not good. So I request my colleagues, you have to take a lot of effort to make excellent digital content. Suppose if you are teaching for 1 hour, you teach only 45 minutes. And 15 minutes you interact with students. You give them group assignments. You discuss with them. And your classes should be sort of interactive mode of teaching. I remember I had excellent teachers in KUSAT when I was an engineering student at KUSAT. I had excellent teachers. I can mention the name of the teacher, Professor K. George. The way he teaches is fantastic. Very, very interactive mode. You never forget his classes. When he starts a new class, what he does is 5 minutes he presents what he taught. Then he asks questions to students. And he actually makes you to understand, makes you to answer things. So we have to have that sort of interactive mode of teaching process. Then, the learning process becomes extremely interesting. Otherwise, students will say that, the class is very boring. I remember when I was a PhD student at the Indian Institute of Technology, we had to undergo lots of courses. After every class, I had to do lots of courses because I went for a PhD directly after BTech. So BTech student had to take lots of courses. So I had the possibility to listen to a large number of lectures of IIT faculty. After every lecture, they give lots of assignments. And in the evening, we have to do all the assignments. So I would say that a great teacher should give, after class, should give lots of assignments. Some of the assignment could be group assignments. That is extremely important. And a faculty should testify during the course of giving lessons. Faculty testify whether the candidate is able to achieve the required objectives. That is what the graduate attributes. So you have to testify whether a student, for example, if I am giving a course on synthesis of nanoparticle over 20 hours, then during my course of lecturing, I should testify the students are able to achieve the required goals, required attributes. It is extremely important. I remember one of my good teachers in Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. He always conducts surprise tests. His way of examination is always surprise test. Another teacher, Professor Bhaumik, I remember he conducts always quiz examination. So quizzing and surprise test, we were on the toes. We had to work extremely hard. So a teacher has to really motivate the students. Has to be a very resourceful person. Similarly, I remember we had lots of laboratory assignment during my coursework. So every laboratory assignment, teacher was an inspiration. And another interesting thing I want to share with you is many laboratories across the globe. I spent around 25 days as a Fulbright fellow in the US. We visited 20 universities. I wanted to share an experience when I went to Washington University in the capital of the US. We went to the medical faculty. I found that all the medical students and nursing students, They have an excellent program of theory, modeling, and simulation. They simulate everything. They simulate a heart attack before seeing a patient. They simulate a delivery before taking a delivery. So we need to have virtual classes, virtual laboratories. They're very, very important. So I request the teachers, advise the students to register. We have virtual laboratories. For example, if you look at MHRD website, the virtual laboratories for everything. Virtual laboratories for computer science, virtual lab for physics, virtual lab for computer science, virtual lab for chemistry. So the students should see the virtual labs first and then go to real laboratories. Extremely important. So I'm sure we are also going to start a virtual laboratory in many domains. College should also think of starting virtual labs. Otherwise, you can all register at the MHRD website. That's extremely important. Another point I want to tell you that during the course of teaching, whether it is social science or humanities or languages or science or engineering, you need to do lots of industrial visits. I remember when I was a postdoctoral fellow, a visiting fellow at the Catholic University in Lorraine, I used to participate in teaching programs in polymer science, in nanoscience. After every month, we used to take the students to field to understand what is happening at the industry. So this is extremely important. You have to send the students to industries to understand what is happening at the industrial sector. Many of the programs in our country, whether it is a BSc or BA or BCom, the problem is we have no internship program. And many companies actually criticize that. The students they are getting, they are not really good engineers. Companies have to train them. But if you look at our ISER and IIT, they are different. I get a lot of ISER students to my laboratory, after first year or second year, they have lots of internship program. So we have to really send our students to internship. The social science students should go to other social science institutes. It could be JNU, it could be in CDS, or it could be ISER Bangalore. They should be sent for such, a 1 month, internship program. That will give them a lot of expertise. So this is extremely important. And I also request the teachers to make use of all the ICT-enabled technologies. Wherever you can apply ICT, you should make use of it and make the teaching more vibrant process. Student-friendly process. Should be student-centered process. And I also request the teachers, the evaluation process. You have to evaluate the students in a continuous manner. I remember my teachers in the Engineering of Technology, Kharagpur, continuous quizzing process. They evaluate me every day. Continuous surprise test. And when you set a question paper, very important, set up intelligent questions. I remember we had NAC experts visiting at the university. 10 years ago, we had a NAC visit. I can tell you the incident. Some of the NAC experts said, they looked at the question papers of some schools. I don't want to name the school. They said these questions are mundane questions. So faculty members have to set up brilliant questions. Faculty members, they have to value the answer sheets very critically. When I look at our examination system, a student who really scored 75, 80 marks out of 100 by the mistake of a teacher, he was failed. So we have to do the valuation very, very correctly. I'm sure if we can do that, we can mold excellent students. Extremely important. I have a very good friend in University of Strasbourg where I often go for summer teaching. His evaluation is always with textbook. His name is Professor René Muller, a very brilliant physicist. He's a rheologist too, a polymer rheologist. His argument is students should be always trust-free. So he sets up brilliant questions. And then the students can answer the questions with textbook. And some of his examinations are online. He actually loads the questions online. You can answer anytime. So students should be given all sorts of exposures. Examination with text, using online testing, surprise test, they have to give all sorts of possibilities. I'm sure if you can do that, I'm sure the students will excel. And we also give an opportunity for the students to evaluate us. I remember when I was a student at Indian Institute of Technology, I had the opportunity to evaluate my teachers. This is lacking in many colleges. This could be done in a very nice, very confidential manner. And if you can do that, a teacher can understand what are the deficiencies, what are the drawbacks of his teaching. This is being done very efficiently in many universities abroad. I have taught in China. China is doing it very efficiently. If a teacher is continuously, very poor in teaching, what the university does, the president of the university does, you focus more on research. You don't do much of teaching. So all these factors have to be really taken care of. If you can do that, I'm sure you can build excellent students. I also want the teachers to be extremely active. Once you join in a college or a university, you also have to make career advancements. You have to go for a postdoc. You have to go for a sabbatical. You have to travel around. That is extremely important. You have to apply for awards. These are all very, very important for making a good academic culture. Now, the second part of my point I want to discuss today is the importance of research. A teacher should be an excellent teacher, giving lessons to students. But a teacher, a university faculty, a college faculty should be an excellent researcher. Research is the catalyst for development. If you look at technologies developed, all the technologies, I would say 90% of technologies that we use now in day-to-day life are spin-off from universities. So university is a center for development. So I request the faculty members, you will have to work on frontier areas of social science, frontier areas of science and technology. If you want to work on frontier areas, for my own field, for example, nanoscience and polymer science, you have to read. You have to read excellent papers. I would say if you want to be extremely active in science, you have to read Nature, you have to read Science, you have to read all high-ranking journals. Otherwise, you are outdated. So this is one important point I want to tell to teachers. You have to really read.
Excuse me, sir.
Sir, your system is muted. Hello? Hello?
Excuse me, sir.
Hello, sir? Hello, sir? Your system is muted, please. Kindly unmute.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Disconnected, probably, yes.
Yes.
Disconnected, yes. So I'm going to talk about, can you hear me now? If you're not able to hear me, please raise your hand.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, we can.
Yes. The second part of my talk is I'm going to talk about the research. The faculty has to be extremely active in research. We all know that the catalyst for development is research. If you look at all the technologies we are using now, they're all spin-off from universities. So university research or college research is should be extremely active. Faculty should work on 4 areas of science and technology, or social science. I would say one of the best ways is you have to read. Excellent articles in Nature, in Science, in high-ranking social science journals. And when you give a problem to your PhD students, you give a very strong problem. Otherwise, he or she may not be able to do a good research work. And faculty should work on a collaborative mode. It's very important. If you look at many of our publications, we have a large number of collaborators across the globe. Large number of collaborators. Because I remember when I started in Mahatma Gandhi University, I can tell you a story. When I started in Mahatma Gandhi University, I was interviewed by the then Vice Chancellor, Sabu. During the interview, he said, I was coming from the Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. He said, Dr. Thomas, can you work in vacuum? You know what he really asked? He said, we have nothing to offer you. Mahatma Gandhi University is at the sort of developing stage. I remember we had to wait for a couple of months to get a room, to get a chair. We were all the young faculties were sitting in front of the director's room, the head's room. So our situation was very bad. When Professor Murthy asked such a question, I replied that I showed him a sort of blueprint. This is my idea to develop Mahatma Gandhi University into excellence. So Vice Chancellor was very happy. Then Vice Chancellor was very happy. I joined here. And it was a long travel, it was a long journey to build up a center of excellence in polymer science, a center of excellence in nanoscience. Professor Sebastian said, I am ranked number 2 in the country now in polymer science. We are ahead of all the IITs now in the area of polymer science. We are number 1 in number 2 in the country. And this is basically because of the hard work of my students. And Mahatma Gandhi University also gave a lot of opportunity for me to grow. Therefore, I want to tell you that faculties have a great role. Even if the facilities are not good, you can build up such facilities. If I look back, I could get very close to 30 crores of funding by writing proposals. Funding from Kerala, funding from, Delhi, different government organizations, funding from companies, international funding. So I could mobilize lots of funding. Therefore, this is extremely important. You have to have a good laboratory, develop a good laboratory, and you have to have faculty should publish in high impact journals. That culture has to be developed. I remember in many colleges, what they do, many academics, what they do, they publish in predatory journals. So I request, stop publishing predatory journals. Publish in high ranking journals. You have to say goodbye to predatory journals. You should not read such journals. You should not cooperate with such journals. Please publish in high impact journals. Every domain, we have very good journals. Social science, in humanities, in science, in engineering. Similarly, I have a request. If you find something in your laboratory interesting, then you do an experiment. Don't publish immediately. You go for a patent. So I made a rule in my laboratory. If you invent something in the laboratory, you go for a patenting immediately. I hope you can all hear me. Can you hear me? Yes, you go for a patent. And then you publish. And then you commercialize. So I made it a rule in my laboratory. You first invent in your laboratory. Then you go for a patent. Then you publish. Then you commercialize with a company. Commercialization is also very important. And faculties have to arrange group meetings. I remember when I was a visiting fellow in Canada, something I learned from him, my advisor was a French man, Robert Emery Proudhon. You know what he does? Every 2 days in a week, we have a very brilliant brainstorming discussion meeting. His group strength was around 50-55 PhD students and 20 postdocs, 70-80 people. So every week, Professor Pulong used to have 2 times a brainstorming discussion meeting. So I request faculty, so I assimilated this knowledge from him. So I started, every week, even now, every week, even after becoming the Vice Chancellor, I have 2 days of interaction with the PhD students. One of the students actually discuss, and I interact with them. So this is extremely important. Group meeting is very, very important. I remember when I was a PhD student at the Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, I had a brilliant teacher, by a brilliant supervisor as my PhD advisor. And he is now 80 years old. And he used to come to the laboratory at around 7:30, 8 o'clock. And he used to leave the lab at 9:30, 10 o'clock. And it was very fortunate to work with such a great man, Sadan Kumar Dey. I used to visit him when I go to Calcutta. The fantastic man coming in cycle and coming with a lunch box and stays in the laboratory till 10:30. And research scholars, like me, we are a lot of students from Kerala and different parts of the country. We all wait for Sadan Kumar Dey to leave the laboratory. Then only we go to our hostel. So we all have to build such a academic culture in the college and universities. If you go to Indian Institute of Science or Indian Institute of Technology, you will see that IIS and IIT, they do not sleep. Students are always working in the laboratory. So you have to build up such academic culture, whether it is social science, whether it is science or engineering. You have to build such academic culture at colleges and universities. The third important point I want to tell you is that you have to write excellent projects. So there are a lot of opportunities in this country to get funding. I told you I got 30 crores of funding. I remember when I started at the campus as a faculty member, several people, frightened me. Sabu, don't submit any proposal. We will not get pension. I said, even if I don't get pension, I will, because there will be a lot of audit objections. I said, I will submit proposals. You see, I built up an excellent laboratory of polymer science, excellent laboratory of nanoscience, bringing very close to 30 crores of funding. So I request everyone to be extremely active, whether it is science or social science or humanities. You have lots of possibilities to get funding from government of Kerala, from government of India, from international funding. Social science, you have ICSSR, you have World Bank, you have a lot of foundations. In science, you have DST, DBT. Every ministry will fund you, whether it is science or social science. And you also have to apply for mega grant. I remember I had so many mega grant applications, collaborating with the different institutions. I collaborated with the National Chemical Laboratory, and we had a big program with the DST. We got funding. 50% go to National Chemical Laboratory, 50% we got. Within the campus, we had big program. For example, nanoscience and bioscience, we worked together. We got big funding from DBT. So I request faculties have to work together as a team. It could be interdisciplinary, it could be transdisciplinary, or it could be cross-disciplinary. You can get lots of funding and establish very good laboratories. Similarly, you also try to tap funding from industry. I could get funding from MRF. Just a month back, I got a contract with MRF. I'm getting good funding from MRF to work on tire, again with them. I got funding from the US. I went for ACS meeting in the United States, and then I went to DuPont company, gave a lecture there, and they funded me for 2 years. I got funding from the General Cables United States. I went to US for a meeting, then I spent some time to talk to some of the companies. So it is possible to get funding from industry. The only thing is you have to knock on their door. If you do that, you can get funding from industries too. So I request faculty members extremely active to get local funding within Kerala, to get industrial funding, to get international funding. If you look at European Union, there are several programs for European Union. You must have heard about the 2020 program, EU 2020 program. So such program, you must participate. And I'm glad to support you if you have any requirement, any interest. I'm very happy to support you in all sorts of ventures. And every college or university should have incubation facility. If some science faculty finds something interesting, which could be patented and could be incubated, we should have that facility. Spin-off companies, when you have incubate something, if it is coming up nicely, then it could be an industry. I remember, I went to Brazil a few years ago, a very big university in Rio, the Federal University of Rio. And I found that there was a huge science complex, science park at the university campus. Many companies have set up their manufacturing inside the campus. Now, Mahatma Gandhi University, we have established a company now. We are starting up a manufacturing process inside the campus using MHRD funding. Therefore, you have to be extremely active, transforming our bench scale experiment into products. Similarly, I also wanted the faculty members to be active in theory, modeling, and simulation. Very important. See, we had a flood, and none of our faculty members could predict it through modeling and simulation. So we have to be extremely active in theory, modeling, and simulation. And faculty members should be extremely active in statistical tools. The research has to use all statistical tools. So this is what I want to tell you about projects. And another important point I want to tell you to faculty members: you have to really attend conferences, symposium, meetings. I wanted to share an experience. When I went to United States as a Fulbright fellow 4 years ago, I visited University of Pennsylvania. We spent a day at the University of Pennsylvania, a very huge campus, around 85,000 students. Of the 85,000 students, there are 2,000 Indian students, 3,000 Indian students. So I met the president of the University of UPenn, University of Pennsylvania. And University of Pennsylvania is always ranked within 30, the global ranking. I simply asked the president, what is the success of this university? What is the secret of your success? He said, the secret of success is excellent faculty members. And I asked him, how do you train them? He said, we have a continuous faculty development program in the campus. When a new faculty joins UPenn, University of Pennsylvania, he's trained how to give an effective class. He's trained how to utilize online program. He's trained how to write a high impact paper. He's trained how to write a good project. He's trained how to set up a good question paper. So university having a continuous faculty development program. Therefore, I request all the teachers to attend faculty development program, FDPs, given by University Grants Commission. And you have to be extremely active in all FDP programs. And faculty members have to attend national conferences, international workshops. I have lots of examples. When I was in young faculty in Mahatma Gandhi University, 89, 90, 91, I used to make lots of travel abroad. I remember once I went to US for a Asia American Chemical Society meeting. After the meeting, I gave almost 30 lectures in the US in different laboratories in the US. And because of that, I could establish an active cooperation with the many universities in the US. You name any university in the US I visited. Because every conference I go, I do a post-conference tour, visit universities, give lectures. I went to the biggest chemical company in the US, DuPont, gave a lecture there. They were very happy to support me for about 2 years with the research grants. Therefore, faculties have to travel, faculties have to go for conference and meetings. Conference and meetings gives you make a lot of opportunities. You understand the latest advancement in the subject. You meet the leaders in your field. You are able to talk to them. You are able to network with them. And when you make a presentation in International Galaxy, you get a lot of comments. I remember my advisor at the Laval University in Canada when I was a visiting fellow. He said he always go for all the American Chemical Society meeting in polymer science. He's a giant in polymer science. He said You go for all the American Chemical Society meeting, the winter meeting, the summer meeting, the fall meeting, then you are updated about the latest advancements. Therefore, I request faculty members to be extremely active in attending conferences. When you attend a conference, you have to interact, you have to talk to the experts. Similarly, for students, you have to send your students to conferences, meetings, symposia. I remember when I was a PhD student at the Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, during 3 years of my stay, I went for a large number of conferences and meetings, symposia. That gave me lots of opportunities to interact. Similarly, I'm glad that Sebastian is organizing this meeting today, and he's organizing a series of meetings. Similarly, faculty members have to organize meetings, workshops, symposia on a regular basis. The conference in polymer science just got over last week because polymer science is completing 100 years of existence. Polymer science, which I am number 2 in the country, originated in 1920. So we had around 200 speakers all over the world. So every year, I organize at least 5 or 6 international meetings in the campus. And because of these meetings, you name any country in the world, I have at least 10 excellent academics as my collaborators. So that will give you lots of opportunities to collaborate, network. I send invariably all my PhD students abroad because of these meetings, symposia, and the exchange program. And I travel quite a lot. Sebastian said I've traveled almost 35 countries. So this is, see, I remember when I started in MGU, I used to do all my transmission electron microscopy and X-ray work in Beijing because MGU had no facility. So I cooperated with Beijing. So you have to really cooperate with the main institutions to do excellent work. That is very, very important. And you can attract many students. I have now students from Africa, I have students from many countries. So you have a international group you can create. So this is my request to all my teachers to be very active in conference and symposia and meetings. And I also request the faculty members to be active as a consultant. If you look at all IITs, IIT faculties are extremely active in consultants. Mahatma Gandhi University also has a consultant policy, and IIT faculties, they do very good consultancy with industries. So that will provide lots of opportunities for the industry to grow. Similarly, you get some revenue for the institution. Therefore, whether it is science or social science or humanities, engineering, medicine, you have to be a very good consultant. Interact with the companies. If you knock on the door, I'm sure you get a lot of consultancy. I remember I used to teach in Beijing. My collaborator in Beijing, Professor Yang Weimin, he's a consultant to all the companies, plastic companies in Beijing. It is very difficult to see Professor Yang Weimin. He comes in the early morning, gives his lectures, meets his students, then he's taken by all the companies to solve their problems. So faculty members have to be extremely active in consultancy. Social science faculty could be a consultant to many NGOs, consultants to World Bank. I remember I have a very good friend in Australia. He's a very important consultant to World Bank. So faculty members do extremely good consultancy work. And finally, I want to tell you that faculty members have to be very active in extension activities. I can again share experience, again with University of Pennsylvania. When I went to University of Pennsylvania, it's a huge campus. There is a department exclusively for extension. And there were 40 or 50 professors in the Department of Extension Activity. And they interact with all the schools in the campus, all the departments in the campus. And every faculty member, they cooperate with society. And University of Pennsylvania has a very, very active team. Wherever they have a sort of calamity, it could be a hurricane or it could be a flood, University of Pennsylvania has a team of students and faculty members and non-teaching faculty members for rescue operation. So they cooperate with local people. They work on water issues, they work on housing issues, they work on sanitation issues. Some of the faculty members interact with India. Some of the people work in, on project on slums in Mumbai. So faculty members have to be extremely active in disseminating knowledge to society. It's very, very important. You can work in schools. You can popularize science. So please spend some time in extension activities, promoting societal growth. And in summary, the role of faculty members, I wanted to summarize the role of faculty members. Faculty members have a great role, as I told you, in teaching, in research, as a consultant, and for disseminating knowledge society. Additionally, I want to tell you that faculty members should fight for equality for the country. Very important. Don't be silent. Faculty members should fight for social justice. Faculty members should fight for secularism for the country. It's very important. Faculty members should fight for sustainability. Whatever you do, it has to be sustainable. Very, very important. Any human activity has to be sustainable. I'm sure the faculties have a very important role on it. Faculties have a great role to preserve inclusiveness, inclusive education. Faculty members have a great role to preserve our diversity. Faculty members have a great role to have accessibility. Education should be accessible to everyone. And finally, faculties have a great role for excellence, excellence in higher education. Now I want to say a few words about management. Our distinguished manager is here. Management should provide, I'm telling you, management should provide excellent, build up excellent infrastructure. That is very, very important. I can tell you a story. When I went to United States, again as a Fulbright fellow, we went to a college in Washington, D.C. If any of you have any opportunity, when you go to Washington, D.C., one of the best colleges in the U.S. is Swarthmore College. It's a beautiful campus. And I had the meeting with the principal of this campus. You know, I've seen a fantastic campus, excellent library, excellent gymnasium for the students. I went to chemistry department. I've seen faculty members publishing in Nature and Science. Parents actually, the US parents want to send their students to Swarthmore College. Why? Because the students get great attention. And I asked the principal, how do you build up such a good infrastructure? The principal said, Dr. Thomas, we get money from philanthropists. You know, in the US, money coming from philanthropists. So I request the management, build excellent facilities for the college. You know, for the all-round growth of the students and faculty members, appoint brilliant faculty members. Don't do anything at the cost of quality. And give enough freedom for the faculty members. You see, academic freedom in this country, I mentioned, there was a nice article written by my brother sometime back in Hindu. He said, the academic freedom index of India is 0.352. So you have to give lots of freedom for the faculty members. You send them for sabbatical, you send them for postdoc assignment, so you promote them. I'm sure then the college will excel. And I also want to say something to the students to make an academic culture. I want all the students to work extremely hard. They have to dream big. Our former president always used to tell you have to dream big. And you have to really read extremely well. The students have to read all fundamental books in chemistry, physics, biological sciences, whatever be your domain, in social sciences, fundamental books have to be read. Again, I can tell you in a personal experience. If you look at polymer science, my major area of expertise in polymer science. If you look at polymer science, we have excellent books, maybe more than 1,000 books. When I interview PhD students in the campus, I used to ask them at the end of the interview, I used to take PhD students. At the end of the interview, I'll ask them, what textbook attracted you the most? They will all tell many names. Then I will ask a question. Have you read the textbook written by Paul J. Flory, the Nobel laureate in polymer science, who received Nobel Prize in 1971? To my surprise, many of the students have not seen this book. That is a Bible of macromolecular science, polymer science. So I think the students should be extremely active. They should read well. They should not misuse digital technology. I see students spend a lot of time in mobile, internet, WhatsApp. We need all these technologies. Today, I'm able to interact with you because of digital technology. These are all very much required. Every day, I interact. All my discussion meetings are by Skypes or by WhatsApp or any of the media. We need all of these technologies, but don't misuse them. Don't waste your time. We had a speaker sometime from MIT in the campus, and he gave a very good speech. He said his topic was the reading habits among students in colleges and universities. And he said 85% of the students in colleges and universities never read a novel in their first year of their study. And 65.6% of students, when they get free time, they are in internet, they are in WhatsApp, they are in Facebook, don't do any creative job. So my request to all my students to build a high academic culture. Don't waste your time playing with internet. Use internet for constructive purposes. You should read good cinema. You should read good novels. You should be dignified citizens. That is very, very important. And you should love your fellow beings. Why I'm saying is I'm still leading a very big research group. When I get a new researcher in my laboratory, I always ask a senior scholar, you teach him or her all techniques. Because we have multitude of techniques, we have X-ray, we have high resolution electron microscope. Everything has to be, you have to learn everything. So you have to really support your fellow beings. And you also have to be a lover of your ecosystem. Whatever activity we do, whether it's a faculty member or student, it should not hamper our ecosystem. I'm sure India has a great future because look at our young states strength. Population experts say India has a great demographic dividend because the average age of an Indian person is very much 28 to 29. That of China is 39. That of US is 40. That of Japan is very old, 50. You see, we have such a massive young states. And if you all work very hard, I'm sure our country will be one of the best in the world. If you create a good academic culture, look at our gross enrollment ratio. The gross enrollment ratio in Kerala will be around 34%, and overall enrollment ratio, the global scale is 24, while that of Korea is 92, that of China is 52. So we have to really increase our enrollment ratio. You have to really push our youngsters to higher education. And if you can all work very hard, I'm sure we can build a better India through excellent academic culture. So I thank you very much for your patient hearing. Mahatma Gandhi University is open to all sorts of collaborations. And probably you know that my university is ranked now 713 in Times ranking. So we are happy to cooperate with all the colleges, particularly Aluva College, UC College, and we are happy to provide you all support and we can work together. And I wish you all the best and success. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. So now we are moving on to the interactive session. So participants could post their question either in the chat box or you could unmute and ask. Sir, there's a question that
Professor Sabu Thomas.
Yes.
I hope we can have an interactive section also because
yes.
people are looking forward to you, since you are in the know of things and also you are in the know of things who are doing things for the university system as a whole in Kerala. So I think interaction is very essential. I hope you have some time to spare with us for the interaction.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
I'm very happy to interact with you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful lecture. Very, inspiring lecture. Thank you, sir. So I request my dear participants to interact with the Vice Chancellor, because this is actually a very golden opportunity for all of you to interact with Vice Chancellor. Be faculty members or students from sciences or social sciences or humanities, you can please come in the video profile and ask questions. Thank you so much.
So there's a question in the chat box that is asked by Joshi John. I will read it out. Sir, what is the exiting status of placement opportunities for the students pursuing bachelor's and master's programs of humanities and social science in NGU, especially placement opportunities for students and researchers of humanities and social science in public university in India?
This is a very interesting question. You see, all the institutions, this is again a very important for building up great academic culture. Every institute, whether it is a college or a university or technical school, whatever it be, we need to have an excellent placement cell. I remember when I was a PhD student at the Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, just after submitting thesis,
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Sir, your system is again muted. I think it's by accident. Can you unmute and talk, sir?
okay, yeah,
Yeah.
you can see, okay. So,
Yeah.
see,
Okay.
a very active placement cell. I mean, you are able to get job in social science or humanities or science or engineering. Science and engineering will have more opportunities. But humanities, social science students can, many companies now recruit humanities and social science faculty members or students. Many organizations, many NGOs in this country, large number of NGOs we have in this country, they also like students. So after post-graduation or after UG, if you really try hard, definitely you can get a job. So every university, every college should have a very active placement cell. You know what does Indian Institute of Technology do? They actually interact with all the companies in India and abroad. If where it is science and engineering, they also interact with the IITs, also interact with the NGOs, social science institutes in the country and abroad. So we need to make such a network. I request the principal of UC College, you recruit a very active faculty member, and faculty member should have a very good database of all the institutions in the country, industry, NGO, social science institutes. And if we can work extremely hard, I'm sure all the students could be placed. I remember I never faced any problem. When I passed out from Cochin University of Science and Technology, I was the first to get a job in Bata India Limited, the biggest footwear company. So you have to be extremely active. I mean, I would say that it's not that difficult to find a job. It could be within India or it could be abroad. If you want to do higher studies, there are lots of possibilities. You see, if you look at our chemistry, I would say around 60% of our students go abroad. All the students in nanoscience and nanotechnology they all went abroad for PhD program. There are lots of opportunities in science, engineering, social science, humanities. The only thing is you have to work very hard. And I request all the principals, all the college, you should have a very efficient placement cell. If you can do that, I'm sure there won't be much of a problem in getting a position. This is my answer.
Thank you, sir. Next question is, the students are able to enhance their domain knowledge, skills, and competencies on successful completion of their program. Do our universities provide special interest to boost or enriching their skills like communication skill, research skill, problem-solving skill, and so on?
Yes. See, we have started, if you look at our university, we have started a directorate of short-term courses. If a student is doing economics in our campus, MA economics, he or she can do lots of other courses as part of the program. So we started so many programs in the campus, which is short-term, which is 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. And some of the programs are online. Some of the programs are face-to-face. And we have a program on communicative English. So the students are able to take up large number of programs. Now we are going to start so many technical programs as short-term courses. And we also give opportunity for dual degree program. A student doing chemistry in MGU, I'm sure within short time he or she will be able to get a dual degree with another university. Today we have signed an MOU with a university in Turkey. So at around 3:30, and we have decided to start dual joint degree program for a PhD and master. That means a student here can get a dual degree of MGU and another university abroad. Similarly, we are going to accept credit transfer. A student doing economics in our university can take a few courses from London School of Economics and transfer their credit. So we are going to equip the students with lots of skills, soft skills, and all sorts of skills so that they can get good placements. And this we are also going to start eventually in colleges too. That is why, so colleges, you have a lot of time. Your timing is now for 8:30 to, if I'm right, 1:30, right? So I think 1:30. So after 1:30, you have the possibility to do lots of other courses. And we are also proposing, learn and study. You can also work in the campus as part of your study and earn money. This also will implement eventually in colleges and universities.
Thank you, sir. Next question is by Lakshmi Chandran, and the question is, what is your opinion on the systematic exclusion of students from marginalized sections of the society in higher education sector?
You see, this is a very important point. If you look at the, gross enrollment ratio in this country, the gross enrollment ratio in this country is one of the lowest, 24.4%. That means only 24.4% can go to higher education. So if you look at the new education policy will have a lot of limitations, but one of the dream points of new education policy is to enhance these gross enrollment ratio to 50. So we have to really, promote, economically backward students with fellowships, with the funding, and we have to start large number of institutions. There you have to give lots of support for economically, socially backward students so that our gross enrollment ratio should be enhanced. All the dropout children should be taken back. So we need to have massive level of investment to support the socially, economically backward students. And if you look at the new education policy, the percent of money going to spend is something like 6% of GDP. That is something very interesting. If the government can do 6% of GDP for education, I'm sure lots of students who are not able to go to universities will be able to do that. So I hope the government will implement in good spirit what they said in the new education policy. Additionally, you look at my university. My university is whatever courses we offer, we always look at the economically poor students. They don't, 50% of them don't pay any fees in the campus. So we always work for inclusive society, inclusive education.
Thank you, sir. Next question is, sir, what was your vision for the sports management course when you proposed it in the frontier area recently?
See, sports management, right? You see, sports, India, we have to go a long way. Look at the sports, our performance in sports. Our performance in sports is not at all good. So we have to put a lot of money. We have to start lots of courses. We have to put lots of investment in our sports. I compare with China. I often teach in Beijing. How much of money they spend every university for sports? Remarkable. Beijing University has fantastic, all sorts of sports, basketball, football, state-of-the-art, facilities. So we have to have, lots of new programs on sports medicine, sports management. That is very much required in this country. And I'm sure that a lot of opportunities will come up because we are going to spend 6% of GDP for our education. So there will be lots of openings, those who complete sports courses.
Thank you, sir. Next question is there any funding opportunity under MG University where faculties from aided college can apply?
Right now, You see, right now we have no funding opportunity for the teachers. Even our own faculty members, we are not able to give any seed money. If you look at IITs, if you look at IIC, if you look at central universities, when a faculty member joins the university, joins IIT, they are given a seed money. Indian Institute of Technology gives something like 10 lakhs of seed money. But Mahatma Gandhi University eventually will do it. Now our financial situation is bad. And if you are able to make a good, strengthen our financial situation, I'm sure we will give some seed money to all the newly joined faculty members. This is based on projects. This is one of my agendas in the long run. When we get more funding from government, either in planned fund, definitely we will set apart some money for newly recruited faculty members. But I wanted to tell you that if a faculty member is active, I told you my story. I had nothing. I don't have. When I joined MG University, I had to wait for months to get a room to sit. But from that level, you see, my group became number 2 in polymer science, beating all the IITs. Even I studied in IIT Kharagpur, and none of them could beat me now. See, we have made such an advancement. So if a faculty member is extremely active, he can have funding. There is no doubt in that. But however, it's always nice to give some seed money for an young faculty. I will do that.
Thank you, sir. Next question. Sir, is there any possibility for our college too to apply for courses with dual degrees in collaboration with universities abroad? Also, for our students to enroll in programs with transfer of credits, when will this be possible?
See, my university has already accepted credit transfer. And eventually, I also request the government of Kerala, the education minister, to approve this for all colleges. So a college student, now if you look at the new policy, you take 70% of the courses from the faculty, from the university, 30% you can select courses anywhere. That is being implemented in the university campus. So eventually this will be implemented in colleges too. You take 70% of the courses within the college, faculty members, 30% you select from other institutions. And where you can have a good examination pattern and your credit could be approved by the university. So we are going to identify such institutions across the globe. And we want to really see that this is free. There are some courses which are online, you have to pay for that. But there are institutions across the globe, they also offer free courses. And there is examination also. So such courses will be identified by us, and then you can take such courses and the credit could be transferred. MGU Syndicate has already approved credit transfer. So we are able to transfer credit from other institutions. Similarly, when I get students from abroad, we also transfer the credit to such institutions. So they're a very good point, and this we will implement eventually in colleges.
I request Professor Shivadas for asking question.
Yes, Professor Shivadas.
Sir, I'm Shivadas. I was feeling jealous of the students of your university as well as the students of the colleges affiliated to your university. Because I have retired some 5 years back after spending 35 years in various government colleges and Sanskrit University of Kaladi, where I could not meet even a single vice chancellor like you, who is committed to promote academic interest of students and the student fraternity. I feel really proud of you. I salute you.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much for your comments. I'm very happy to work with you, sir. Yes. For the student community, for the teacher community. Thank you.
Sir, there are a couple of questions in the chat box. Can we go ahead with?
Yes, definitely.
Anuja, please.
Yes, sir, sure. Next question is, So why the universities are not interested in conducting an internship program in a 3-year BSc program? Being an undergraduate student, I kindly request you to include some programs like this which help the students to get a work experience in that particular field in which a student is involved. And this question is asked by Daniel Francis.
Yeah, you see, this is a very important point. One of the criticisms, we get from many companies, many institutions, they say Indian students lack real hands-on experience. It's a very important issue. Probably you all must have seen that we had a committee headed by me, and there are lots of brilliant colleagues from different institutions. We recommended 4 years of bachelor's degree. Whether chemistry or physics or economics, 4 years of bachelor's degree, and 1 year you have to have internship and high level of research. You know what I found? Sometime back, I was invited by the American Chemical Society to review some of the posters of BS students in the US. So I went to US, gave a lecture there, then I was asked to review posters of BS students. Now, if BS in America is 4 years, in Canada also 4 years. So when I looked at the posters of these undergraduate students, these BS students, some of the students publish in Nature, some students publish in Science. Their research base is very strong in an undergraduate level. So that is why our committee recommended 4 years of bachelor's program where you can embed internship and research. I'm sure eventually our all 3 years program will be eventually, not immediately, eventually all the 3 years program will be transformed into 4 years. And the students will be given excellent opportunity for internship and research. Even to answer you, even 3 years program, I made a strong recommendation to the Board of Studies. You have to include some level of research components, some level of internship. They should go to a good laboratory in the country. We have a large number of CSIR, DRDO, private institutions across the country. So you should send them for at least 6 months or 3 months to get some training. It could be a research training or it could be a manufacturing training. So that we have recommended. So eventually our whole bachelor's program will be strengthened by introducing, a very interesting question, by introducing internship and research.
Thank you, sir. Next question is by Givargi, sir. And it goes on like this. There are many problems specific to the affiliating system. The structure of the programs, modes of evaluation, and other important elements tend to be structured inflexibly. There has to be an imaginative effort and a continuing dialogue between the university and the faculty on how the system can be made more flexible. There must be greater trust on the faculty and room for independently developed courses and the facility to integrate them with the larger structure. Would you comment?
This is a very important comment you made. I strongly believe that eventually all the good colleges should be transformed into autonomous colleges. They should have their own board of studies. They should have their own, academic bodies, and they should build their own curriculum. And they should also set their questions by teachers. The teachers should value the answer sheets, and this culture has to be introduced in this country. I have traveled many countries to China, to Korea, to many countries across the globe. I find that the teacher teaches, and the same teacher sets the question, and he values. I think that has to be done eventually in this country too. Universities are conducting a large number of examinations. I think colleges have to be eventually made independent. Look at the United States. There are a large number of colleges in the United States, community colleges. They have their own board of studies, their own, academic bodies, and they teach, they evaluate, and they give the degree. I strongly think that colleges have to be made autonomous eventually. If you look at our NEP, National Education, this is a good aspect of NEP. National Education Policy says that colleges will be given a sort of graded autonomy. I mean, we have to trust all the teachers. And, I'm sure, I believe all of them. You see, I'm sure I'm successful in research because I trust all my co-workers, all my students. When I go abroad, I give all the keys of my laboratory to students, to my room to students, and they sit in my room. I believe them, I trust them. So we have to have this sort of trust. So I strongly feel that all the colleges have to be made eventually independent. And that is the answer. So we have to, frame a very flexible system rather than university controlling all the examinations, conducting examinations. We are not able to provide the results on time. We have lots of trouble. I strongly feel that colleges should teach, colleges should evaluate, and colleges should give the results. So we are actually going towards that direction eventually if you look at our new education policy.
Thank you, sir. Next question is, sir, does NEP 2020 affect the traditional higher education culture, or do they provide beneficiary development in the present higher education sector?
What do you really mean, the development? Can you be more specific?
So I will read the question once more. Sir,
Yes.
does NEP 2020 affect the traditional higher education culture, or do they provide beneficiary development in the present higher education sector?
Oh yes. See, if you look at the higher education policy, there are lots of innovations. This higher education policy is extremely student friendly. I can tell you one example. This is something very similar what I've seen in MIT. When I went to MIT for a short visit, I interacted with the students there. I've seen a student in MIT who studied 2 years in Pennsylvania State University. There's a Pennsylvania State University. Then he came to MIT and he transferred all the credits from Pennsylvania State University, MIT. So if you look at the new education policy, the new education policy is very much student-centered. Credit bank, credit transfer. A student studying in MGU, after a couple of years, he can go to JNU. If he's doing a 4 years of bachelor's, we have integrated program in the campus now. So we need to make system very flexible, very student-friendly. If you look at NEP as a whole, there are lots of points which are quite interesting for the student community. You must have heard about mentorship. The new NEP policy, there is a national mentorship portal. Retired faculties can retire. You see, I'm going to retire after completely from the whole program after 3 years. But I'm very happy to mentor some young faculty. I'm happy to mentor a college in a rural area. So national mentoring is going to be very strong in this country. The senior faculty, retired faculty, senior citizens, they are going to mentor young faculty members. IITs are going to mentor a rural college. So mentoring is very, very, very important. And now if you look at the new education policy, all the unilateral universities are going to be sort of multifaceted. You know that IITs are basically meant for engineering and technology. But IITs, we are going to start languages. IITs, we are going to start the social sciences, humanities. So all the unitary institutions will be sort of multifaceted. So there are lots of points. So now you have technical university, we have engineering university, you have medical university. Government is going to stop all this. We are going to call it as university, and they all have multi-dimensional approach, all subjects. Something like BHU. When I go to BHU, I am thrilled because I have chemistry, I have physics, I have Ayurveda, I have, you can see everything there. So university should have such culture. Eventually, if you look at, we destroyed the university culture in this country. Why do we need universities for engineering, universities for medicine, universities for languages? No, the university should have everything in the campus. So if you look at NEP very carefully, this is something very interesting. They are going to have multi-faceted university system. So there are lots of good points in the university which are very much student friendly.
Thank you, sir. The next question is, how should faculty members prepare for the transition from 3+2 year course to 4 years integrated course suggested by new policy? And it's asked by Saina Abraham.
You see, that's also not at all difficult. The fourth year, if you look at all the 3 years program, all the 3 years program will be transformed into 4 years eventually. And the fourth year, you could send a student to a good laboratory in the country, or a good research institute, or a good company where he or she can do a high level of research. And these research topics could be jointly supervised by the faculty member in the college and an expert from the other institute. So that will inculcate lots of collaboration. So there won't be much of issue, because of fourth year, we should focus more on research components. So a student which is coming out after 4 years of bachelor's, he or she will have a very strong research base. And if you look at, again, our education policy is very student friendly. After 1 year, the student wants to drop, he will get a certificate. After 2 years, he can stop. After 3 years, he get a BSc degree or BA degree. After 4 years, you get a honors degree. So this is very much student-centered. If it is 4 years, it is extremely good for the faculty member and the student. The student could be sent to a good institute where he or she will do a very good level of research. The teacher and the expert from the institute can jointly supervise. And this is going to strengthen the research base of this country. Look at if you look at the overall research in this country, the amount of money we spend for research is 0.88% of GDP. United States is spending 3.8% of GDP. China is spending more than 2.5, very close to 3% of GDP. We are still spending 0.88% of GDP. So I hope that these NEP is implemented, there will be substantial contribution to research. Look at the number of research persons where for 10 million population, very low in this country. Look at number of patents being filed. The number one is Korea. Again, we will find that India is not doing well. But recently, our startup, we have a lot of startup coming up. There are lots of signs of improvement in this country. So 4 years of bachelor's is a very important step to strengthen research base in this country.
Thank you, sir. Next question is there a chance to allow sabbatical leave for faculty to involve in research for a short period in a top-tier university?
So if you look at Mahatma Gandhi University, if you look at Kottayam University of Science and Technology, we have implemented the UGC regulation. So our faculty can take 1 year of sabbatical. They can spend anywhere in the world, and their salaries are protected. So we have implemented this in the campus, and some of the faculties have taken up this. My colleague has gone to Max Planck Institute. Professor Sanal Mohan has gone to Max Planck Institute. Many faculties have taken up this. So this is a very interesting point where 1 year a faculty could be away and he can do something very interesting. Maybe a new research program he can initiate. He can learn some new techniques, and he can work on a collaborative mode with another university. For some faculties, I remember they have taken their time. They were remained in Kerala, but they have engaged in writing books. A couple of social science faculties were completely engaged in writing their own books. So this is a very interesting program. This is being practiced every university across the globe. If you look at IIT, the advantage is every 6 years we can take 1 year of sabbatical. Now I am going to invite a faculty from IIT Kharagpur to our university for 1 year on a sabbatical. So his salary is protected. So IIT has a benefit. IIT, they give lots of opportunities. Every 6 years, 1 year you can go abroad. Or anywhere in the country, you can take sabbatical. So this is a very good step. Eventually, my university also we will also think about it to give more time. Probably we may not be able to give once in every 6 years, but we can use a big important. The college we should start a sabbatical to the faculty members.
Thank you, sir. As we have exceeded our scheduled time, so now we are moving on to the end of the session. I invite Dr. Manju M. George, coordinator of IQAC, for delivering a vote of thanks. Ma'am, please.
Good evening, all. Respected Vice Chancellor, Principal, Manager, dear colleagues. On the behalf of the IQAC and Union Christian College, I sincerely thank Dr. Sabu sir for his excellent talk on higher education culture, which is need of the hour. Thank you very much sir, for sharing your ideas and thoughts. Also thank Professor Babu Joseph, former Vice Chancellor of CUSAT, Professor James Kirin from MCC, Professor George Chattukulam, Professor Shivadas of Kaladi University, and other eminent personalities for joining this webinar. I also thank our manager, Reverend Thomas Jonathan, Principal Dr. David Said Matthew, and all other colleagues, and especially Dr. Sebastian Joseph for arranging this wonderful program. Also thank all colleagues from our college and other colleges for joining this webinar, and also our dear students. Thank you all, and good night.
Thank you, our dear Vice Chancellor, for the time spent. It's a long time.
Thank you so much for the brainstorming meeting. I really enjoyed being with you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
It was a fantastic
Thank you so
evening.
much. It was a wonderful experience where the sciences and the social sciences meet together. And we would like to have more sessions from you.
Oh, yes, sure, definitely.
Thank
I'll
you
be
very
very
much.
glad to interact with you.
Thank you so much for your generous attitude towards this webinar.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Once again, thank you all for joining with us. Thank you. Thanks a lot.